camera. Mhm. You look very creepy right now, Sarah. Sorry about that, guys.
No problem. I think we're
A
live.
little
Woo!
We're live, yeah.
creepy right now, Sarah. Excellent. All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to this show hosted by Karachi Creatives. I promise you this will be a fun 1 hour tonight. Just want to give you a quick, to our listeners and our viewers, we just want to give you guys a quick intro to Karachi Creatives. It was a community of artists, designers, and influencers, writers, as well as recruiters that was set up in 2019 by Omar Qureshi. Omar, fantastic job setting up something like this. I think it's a great platform for the industry here. And he now shares the Founders Club with Suhena Hassan and Uruj Javed. So, the topic we're going to be discussing tonight is influencer marketing. So, before we sort of get into this, I'd like to do a quick round of intros from our panelists today, and so that our audience can know who they've tuned in to listen to. So, Adhika, if we could start with a quick intro to you, please.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Khalid, for being here, for having us here. Thank you, Karachi Creatives. So, I'm Adhika Nazir Lalwani. I am currently the head of influencer marketing at Digits. I've had over 8 years of experience within the industry of influencer marketing, brand building, brand strategy, social media marketing. I've worked with several brands and been like a great experience. I enjoy traveling a lot, so I make sure that, like, I do find time to enjoy a passion. I love reading and I love creating different DIY things. Recently I've gotten into cooking, so my Instagram is all about that. Yeah, that's about me.
Fantastic. Fazia, would you like to go next, please?
Hello, everyone. I'm Fatia Zafar, and I'm the head of influencer marketing at Daraz. I've been associated with influencer marketing for almost, I think, around 8 to 10 years now. And unlike Adhika, this is the only thing I've ever done. So, influencer marketing is all that I know. And I think it's a very, very interesting field. Very, very excited to be here. So, thank you for having us, Karachi Creatives. Khalid, thank you for having us all over here, and looking forward to a really good conversation.
Cool. Omer, your turn.
Okay, so hi, I'm Umair Kazi. I run an agency called Ishtihari, and one of the things that we do is nestled under Ishtihari influence. I'm not an influencer per se, but I'd love to share my insights because I have sort of like an outsider insider view. So looking forward to the show.
I'm interested in the outsider insider views. What I think we've got is a good mix of people from the agency side, and we've got Fabia who's coming in from the brand side. And I think her 10 years of experience in solely in influencer marketing, I think it'll make for a very good discussion and a dialogue. Guys, thank you very much for the intro. I'll give a very quick intro to myself as well. My name is Khalid. I've been in the marketing field in Pakistan for about 19 years now, and I've worked across various verticals, including retail, technology, excuse me, logistics, and banking. It's been an interesting ride. I came into marketing in the pre-digital era, so I've seen an interesting transformation over the years. Influencer marketing is something I've always been very intrigued by, and not only today in sort of the way it happens on digital forums, but also in terms of how it used to happen, Pele, in the form of brand partnerships with celebrity endorsements, with actor endorsement, with sports personalities, etc. So it's been a topic that I've always been very, very intrigued by. So before we start off and sort of get into our discussion, I think what would be really nice is if we can give a little bit of an intro to influencer marketing from our three panelists here. So, Umair, if you'd like to go first, just to kind of give a very sort of your input onto what influencer marketing is.
Okay, so I'll keep it really succinct. See, I'm an ad man. I'm an advertiser first, and even I hate ads. So you can guess the state of affairs for the rest of the people around the world. So I feel like, I mean, the problem that influencer marketing is trying to solve is that the in your face sort of advertising, that's interruption based advertising, is not really cutting it anymore. And we've all sort of programmed it. So there was a time, एक जमाना होता था जब वो ना वो पॉपअप ब्लॉकर अलग से चीज, अब तो मुझे लगता है गूगल में अंदर ही होता है, क्रोम रोम में, मगर वो पॉपअप ब्लॉकर होते थे. So now the pop-up blockers have gone into our head, and we learn to avoid the billboard and avoid the pop-up, and skip through the ad, tune out the radio, whatever the medium might be. Even if it's we're doing Insta and बीच में वो sponsored story आती है, हम उसको कटा देते हैं. So influencer marketing is probably a way, one way that you can bypass that bullshit detector that people have developed over the years, and give them in a much more nuanced form brands communication, or marketing messages that don't really tick them off.
Right. Right. Yeah. Fazia, would you like to go next?
Of course. So for me, I feel influencer marketing is one of the most effective form of marketing, and I'll tell you why. Because to me, I feel like it's so personalized at this point. Like the way influencer marketing is being done right now, it is very relatable to a lot of people. It's not just coming up to someone and saying, "Oh, you should buy this product because it's amazing," and X, Y, Z, A, B, C. But it is people who are speaking from their own experiences and then recommending it to different people. So I feel that the relationship that these influencers sort of develop with the audience, it carries a lot more weightage than an ad would have, or something along those lines. Like traditional marketing, it is very in your face, right? So I feel like influencer marketing is way more customized and personalized as to what this is what people now want. They want something which is more relatable, and that is exactly what influencer marketing offers.
Adika, over to you.
Yeah, so agreeing to both Umair and Fozia being the influencer herself, like has a whole perspective to it too. But also, you know how the whole difference is that instead of saying "look at me," the influencer market brings that perspective of "look at them." And when someone shows us a direction as human beings, a psychological way, that is something that relates to us more than somebody telling to us कि मुझे देखो. Because then that's a whole self-obsessed type of thing कि यार मैं क्यों देखूं, मतलब you were in my time. But when you follow an influencer, you give them the permission to like take your time. As for when ads are there, they just like occupy that video stream or that whatever you're doing into on online. So influencer marketing also becomes a choice, like it's a consumer's choice that makes your brand even come forward and becomes a better way of marketing your product,
True.
because you end up becoming a choice.
Excellent. So yeah, those are three varied points of opinion here, and all very good ones. And there's absolutely no way to sort of doubt the power that this tool now has. We're all online on various platforms. We follow people. I'm sure you guys have your preferred influencers, whether it's in the form of whether even if it's in the form of a brand, a platform, a forum, a person. Fantastic. All right. I'm going to jump to my first question regarding the whole game of influencer marketing, and that is, what are some of the best practices in determining the objectives when working with influencers? Fozzie, I'd like to open this one up to you.
So I feel like influencers right now, there's not just one category of influencers that you can just engage for every single brand or every single type of campaign. So one thing which is extremely essential at this point is to make sure that the people who you are engaging for your certain campaigns, they need to be relevant to the brand, and whatever you are trying to promote through their platform needs to resonate with their audience as well. So, like if you're getting a content creator to distribute your content, for instance, if there's one person who only creates their own content and suddenly I go up to them and I'm like, अच्छा ये मैंने नया ad बनाया है तो आप जाके ना ये अपनी feed पे लगा दो. So the engagement over there automatically drops, and that does not do anything for the brand. Yes, you do have visibility on that person's platform, but now the audience is a lot more smarter than they were a couple of years ago. So they know, okay, oh, number one, it is paid, which automatically takes away from a lot of influencer marketing objective of it. And then secondly, what happens is that when someone just comes up to you and says, oh, maybe an ad laga rahi hu, so I might, like what Adhika says, the choice that the consumer has at that point, that sort of goes away. So you need to, number one, categorize influencers based on their strength. Are they distributor? Are they creator? Do they do more video posts? Do they do more static posts? What is their strength? And that's how you select an influencer.
Okay. So, Umair, Fawzia made a very valid point here about how sort of consumption patterns have changed and how influencer marketing has come on the rise. How have you seen this change in consumption in terms of helping your clients out?
Yeah, so I'd like to give the agency's point of view from this, right? So uh, I have a limited amount of brain power within my agency, depending on the number of people I have. So I can tap into those 30, 40 people. But
Sure.
if I instead scale up via influencers, specifically via influencers that can think creatively and create that nice output, then I am able to scale my agency from, let's say, 40 people to 100 people, 200 people, 500 people, no matter how many, depends on how many people I can rope in. So as long as from an agency point of view, I feel like as long as I can keep them glued to the overall thread of the message that the brand wants to communicate, I'm effectively expanding my creative team, because most of these people, well, except for perhaps distributors, even they have a lot of creativity. But most of these people are content creators first, so they know how to frame messages so that they can appeal to a certain target demographic जो उनकी अपनी community होती है. So the way they do it will be different from the way someone else does the same for their community. So I look at it as a way to sort of scale up my creative brain power.
Okay. Adika, we've got an interesting question here in the live comments coming in, and this is sort of pertaining to what you were telling us a little earlier while before we started off about how and I think even both of you guys, well, all three of you sort of mentioned कि यार आपने हमें क्यों नहीं लिया, you know. So when you're dealing with new entrants into the influencer space, what misconceptions do the influencers usually come in with? How do they try and steer the conversation with, say, with you as an agency?
I think the biggest misconception that they have is that the agency is accessible to them, or the influencer, or the manager, PR manager, influencer manager is accessible to them at all times. I
Right.
think that comes in, and for me, I've personally felt like I've made friends, with people I've worked, who I onboarded as bloggers and influencers, and I've grown like amazing friendships to a point that these people were at my wedding. So for me, the big thing is how you are introducing to me. If you come to me like, hi, you were doing XYZ campaign, why don't you also take me on board? So how in the brand language we say, where's that reason to believe? Like, why should I? Like, I mean, if you come to me and talk to me on a human level more than like like I'm a robot or a bot or something, that hi, I'm feeding myself in your system, take me in your campaign. I think if that conversation barrier is like sort of broken down in a way that, hi, so this is what I've heard, a friend of mine or XYZ person told me, I would really appreciate if you can look into my profile and consider me for a campaign that's good for my niche. Because like I think that would make me want to go and look at their profile as compared to just skim through it on my WhatsApp and maybe send them a form that, hi, please fill this, somebody from my team will be in touch with you. So a lot of people who I've come across, who I've like, I mean, I'm sure Fawzia will also agree to that. There are some influencers who you are loyal to, where you only think about them, you're like, these five are going to be in my campaign because I trust them to do justice to my idea. At agency, we create these ideas that the influencers bring to life. So for me, it's very important to trust somebody to sort of translate my idea into a video, into a story, into a post. And that's what I think, like, I would say that as an influencer, if you are reaching out to an agency, be it on Instagram, be it on my personal number, anyone's email address, I think build your platform first for them. Because now the market is huge. Like 4 or 5 years back, when we used to do influencer marketing, we knew okay, okay, these are few people I will go for. There's we used to have these lists ke makeup bloggers ye ho gaye, fashion bloggers ye hain, food wale
बिल्कुल.
yahi log hain. I'm gonna,
Yeah.
I used to think about working with kitchen with Amna at that time ki yeah, she's growing at that time, and I used to like call her up and I'd be like yeah, and she's like no, abhi nahi, ye kar sakte hain, wo kar sakte hain. Ab kya hai ki there's so many people, so be different in that crowd. How do you get the attention? This is the same way when we go pitch for brands, we do this, right? We pitch ourselves, we make
Right.
ourselves stand apart. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fozia, how have you sort of so what Adhika mentioned about influencers standing out, about them sort of pitching themselves right. How often have you come across this in your career over the last 10 years?
I think this is probably the most frequent thing. Like the number of messages in my inbox right now, this is probably the highest number that I have received in the past as many years as I've been in the field. But again, like
Right.
Adhika says, that people need to understand that what is their strength before they go to a brand and they say, okay, oh, like this is a campaign that all influencers are doing, so I also want to be a part of this. So how can I engage in this? And sometimes you go on their accounts and you go on their profiles and you see that it makes absolutely no sense for them to be a part of it. And also they need to be more professional about it, because I think one of the biggest issues that we are facing in Pakistan when it comes to influencer marketing is how misunderstood this entire thing is. A lot of people just want to be an influencer because they feel this is an access to a lot of free stuff, and this is an access to a lot of PR events and meeting celebrities, and being a part of that cool crowd, right? But it is a lot more than that. And when you actually look at people who are investing their time and energy in being an influencers and how
Yeah.
seriously they take it, it is mind blowing. Like they have calendars, they do invoicing, they have these proper mood boards and storyboards and all of that stuff, which makes you really stand apart, and it tells you that who is actually an influencer and who is in it
Yeah.
more for what. So, like if you want to be an influencer, you have to give it time. You cannot just expect, oh, I joined yesterday and suddenly I've asked all my 1,000 friends on Facebook to go and like my
Right.
page and I am an influencer now. So
Like a
influencer
career you
marketing,
build up.
yeah, like it is a lot more than just putting up a pretty picture with a quote copied from somewhere on the internet. That is not influencer marketing. You need to understand how to make your content more personalized and more personal, and only then a brand or an agency or anyone would even consider you, because now the market is so huge, there's so many influencers that it is very easy to find a replacement. So what makes you stand out? Like people need to really understand that.
So, Omer, like Fozia said, there are tons and tons of influencers out there, and we've sort of seen that across our various channels and our work, etc. So, when you are looking for an influencer for, say, one of your clients, to put it bluntly, how do you sort of safeguard the client's interest and Ishtihari's own interest by choosing somebody who is actually a valid influencer?
Okay, so the way we do it is that we try to be on the influencers side when it comes to, even when it comes to, let's say, the biggest corporate players in Pakistan. Our fight is always with the brands. These big companies always tell us, यार तुम लोग इनको influencers को बोलो नहीं मुझे ऐसे चाहिए भाई, वो ऐसे नहीं कर सकते. They're going to, they're going to whatever, plaster your logo or do whatever stuff that you want to do. It will kill their engagement and your engagement as well. So we always pick those people that are let's say passion first, right? So if I'm looking
Right.
for a food, if I'm looking to influence in the food category, I will look for a food expert vis-a-vis a food blogger. So influencer is not a job title. uh, you have to be someone who's actually passionate about that, and actually practice that art or craft or whatever you might have. And that could be literally anything, by the way. It could be music, it could be art, it could be whatever you want to do, makeup, blah blah blah. But you should be well known in that particular thing, and it should be respected as a uh, the word influencer has just become so commonplace now, but you should have credibility in that space. And then only, so I have really talented people in my team One of who leads our influencer efforts, his name is Daniel Shahid. He's been with us for quite a while now. He himself is a big influencer, one of the bigger ones, curator type. So all of these things can't be automated. So I rely on people perception, and I rely on the sort of aura that these people bring to however they do it. I'd just like to add one more thing to the earlier point as well, Khalid. Um,
Sure.
One of the top three, I won't name who, but one of the big
Sure.
three, let's say influencers or content creators in Pakistan, big three, top three, he once told me that he actually baits brands. So he would just randomly pick up a product and create something fantastic around it within his video, a little bit, and it
Right.
wouldn't be sponsored. It'll feel like, oh wow, he really wove it in really well, man. This guy is good, right? And then the news would automatically go to the brand, and then they'd be like, oh, whoa, we didn't even ask him to do that, and he could do such a good job. What if we actually got him on board and told him these are our brand objectives? He could actually do a better job. So a lot of the smarter ones within this ecosystem actually, like the other people also said, Malab, you have to treat it. How do you get noticed as good as, how does an agency get noticed, or how do you get noticed as a candidate when you give your resume? You have to pull a few strings. You have to do something interesting. Can't
You gotta
just be,
stand out. Right.
yeah, you can't just be something, because we will literally put you in a Google form and say, oh, we'll get back to you, no problem, sir. हम आपको call करते हैं.
बिल्कुल सही है. अदिका, मुझे एक बात बताएं. In terms of influencer marketing, long term, mid term, short term, what works better? What would sort of your suggestion be to a brand that's sort of looking to get into this space and hasn't traditionally done it before?
I think it really depends on what kind of product or what kind of brand it is. So a lot of we usually try to make it a long term thing, because an influencer has an ongoing and growing following, right? And if they see their loyalty to a brand, then they know that ye paid nahi hai, because this is a part of their lifestyle. So the whole idea is to incorporate the brand as a part of their lifestyle. So I'll give you an example for L'Oreal, right? uh,
Right.
a lot of makeup bloggers already do use L'Oreal products, right? And some of them swear by a few of the products. So for us to, build their confidence more within the product is far more important than, just get any other blogger who's never used it. So yes, of course, that falls under the category ke, yeah, I want to convert bloggers as well. I want to convert the audience as well. I want to build more, consumer base and loyalists as well. But I think long term is something that the brand should be looking at, because I feel like that chain that comes within, that how somebody is so loyal to a product that when they talk about it, it's just organic. Short term works for things like launches. Acha product launch hua, maybe a new campaign launched. I did something CSR. It's 14th August. I should do it. But for an ongoing PR, an ongoing influencer marketing perspective, I think the long term is the best and gives you the most ROI in terms of reach, in terms of engagement, in terms of brand equity, in terms of brand advocacy, and also in terms of brand loyalty.
Okay. So we've got an interesting comment and a question that came here, and Fawzi, I'd like to put this one out to you. What happens to a community that has built up a certain following over a certain period of time by emerging as an expert on all things marketing, but at some point it fails to mention when some of their content is actually sponsored? How does it affect their platform in terms of credibility and user engagement?
I think, Khaled, like I said before, that now the consumers or audience has become very smart. So if you
Yes.
are actually putting your foot into something like this, you need to be you need to very strategically think of how you're going to integrate that service or that product within your content, that it seems native and organic versus being pure sponsored. And that to me in itself is an art, because there's a proper way of integrating content, integrating different products and services within your everyday content to make it look more seamless versus force. Because if people understand that, oh, this is happening and the person is not declaring a partnership and they're trying to sort of trick us into it, they
Yeah.
get put off, and then they are very vocal about it too. So you can, it's very evident within the comment section, or if you go on Twitter. I think Twitter is like everybody's playing field, right? And people just go
Sure.
and they start talking about it, oh, how this influencer is a sellout, and they're talking about this brand, and I had a bad experience and this and that. And I think it's a smarter approach to this is to declare that, oh, I am working with this brand, and serve as an ambassador to the brand, so that if people even have any reservations towards it, you can come and go back to the brand, get answers, and address everything that your audience is coming up with. Because then that, what happens with that is that people start believing in you more, and they start trusting you more, that, oh, if I have a concern, this person is going to address it, rather than,
Right.
like, there are 600 comments, so I'm just going to let it be.
Sure. Okay.
I totally agree.
Cool. Umair, I have a question for you. In terms of any bit of influencer marketing that you've done for the brands that you've worked on through Ishtihari, how do the brands that you pitch to, how do they measure ROI on the money that they're spending behind influencers?
Okay, so the thing is, I'll be completely honest. So most of the work that I've done, that Ishtihari has done, isn't around, let's say, a there wasn't a very well connected digital funnel. If it were the case, and probably I think so, a lot of the products are actually, something like, I don't know, artificial sweetener or surf, or I don't know, something else, right? So all of these things, yes, they could be sold. Malab, you can always put CTR and connect it to Daraz or whatever. But a lot of people don't actually convert that way. So my experience so far has been they always seem to get really happy if we get above average engagement. But the thing is that that's a slippery slope as well, because a lot of people are just lurkers, right? So like me, for example, I, once again, because I'm saturated with influencers and advertising, so I consume a lot of content. I actually, people that I respect, I actually take their recommendations on brands as well. But that doesn't mean I go and say, hey, great choice, bro. So it's like that.
Theek.
That's
Adhika,
how.
sorry, Umair. No, go on.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Adhika, so since you're also on the agency side of things and you're sort of heading the influencer marketing bit for 4Digits, how do you guys measure campaign success? What sort of metrics are brands looking at in terms of success?
So, Khalid, if I go like 4 years back, a biggest metric of success was impressions, reach,
Sure.
engagement. कितने लोगों के पास पहुंचा, कितने लोगों ने
Or-
देखा, क्या comments आ रहे हैं. Now brands are more ROI driven. Now, what is my conversion rate? How are my sales being driven? Yeah.
So, one point, are they actually that ROI driven?
Some of them, yes. A lot of them are moving towards there. A lot of them, see, it depends on what industry you're working for, right? So if I take a beverage brand, their product is more in store, right? So they might want that, the reach, impression, engagement matrix, or how many people interacted with my product, how many people said good things to my product, what is my sentiment analysis, versus a brand that's a slightly more expensive proposition, right? Somebody who's selling on e-commerce, somebody who's like a service provider. For them, it changes the entire dynamics. I'll say, like, insurance companies and banks and all of them, when they do influencer marketing, their target should be, and a lot of our clients are also like that we want to see how many people went to that landing page and filled that form, or how many people picked up their phone and called that customer service agent, or how many people actually went to Daraz, Vegas, Yevo, or all of these e-retailers to actually put that product in the cart. So I think at Digits, and generally as well as a practice now that we're doing, we're trying to measure success in terms of quantifiable numbers. Like, ठीक है, I got the reach, but what's the meaningful data out of it? जो मुझे 2 million reach चाहिए, उसमें से exactly target audience कितनी है? So 2
बिल्कुल
million
सही.
में मैं भी हो सकती हूँ, maybe I'm not the target audience, आप हो सकते हैं, आप नहीं हो सकते target audience. So
Say.
what is that 2 million में से 4 5 6 लाख number? Because I feel like अगर आप एक campaign चला रहे हैं and it went to so many people, but like X number of people also purchased your product through an influencer, through a promo code, through a swipe up story, and I've seen that happening, and that is your exact success measure in that terms.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Further, we have a question here from Jawad on the comments asking about how brands hunt down influencers other than on YouTube and Instagram. Does Daraz use any other platforms such as TikTok, Snapchat, etc.?
Yeah, so previously we were mainly engaged on Facebook and Instagram, but now we have started expanding our activities to more platforms, and we are actually doing a lot of work on TikTok now because it is the fastest growing influencer platform in the world at this point, with the highest number of people growing. Like the biggest growth is happening in India and Pakistan, so it is one of our biggest markets out there. So I think yes, we definitely do look for influencers on all platforms. And see, Daraz is a brand for the masses. It is not. It is for everyone. So we are not really looking at just one platform. Okay, oh, Instagram is more for the youth, so we are going to stick to that side. Instead, we are looking at any possible platform where we can put our word out and explain what we do, how we do it, and how we can benefit our audience with it.
Okay. So, guys, Fawzi just mentioned how TikTok is one of, well, probably the quickest growing or largest growing social platform out there. So, it's going to be a very quick rapid fire question. Umair, first to you. TikTok, fad or is it here to stay?
Gonna stay.
Adika?
Stay, definitely.
Fawzia?
I'm with them. It's gonna stay. It's staying.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at Snapchat, like it's only a matter of time before Facebook Inc. comes in and says, you know what, we're gonna copy all of that stuff, and we'll have much bigger resources behind this. So it's gonna stay for a while, but I feel like Facebook will want to take away some of that stuff by putting in more features on their suites.
I think
no, I feel like why Snapchat went like Snapchat died because of the whole matrix where like my content is not public to all, and then ad and all of that. It was such a, so I was on Snapchat. It became such a hassle to use it to accept people. I don't want to be chatting with like a random somebody who added me just because they're consuming my content. Instagram gave so much more aesthetic. I think why the audience switched it. I feel like a lot of people say that it was a copy mechanism by Facebook. अच्छा सही है, Facebook ने copy कर लिया. I feel like the aesthetic that Instagram brought, Snapchat never did that. The camera, the way it was so seamless. The content, the way it got out, I don't think Snapchat ever did that or ever had that in the plan either, because it was always a very haphazard, very acha me. I just adding my own friends. Even the Discover platform, sometimes I go up and see that like Tastemade has so much great content on Snapchat because the short videos, but then I also can't find. Also, they disappear, so I can't find them on their feed. So if I want to make a recipe, like I want to go back to it. Instagram gave that platform to going back to your content you want to consume again. So that's why I think people migrated to Instagram, not because it got copied.
Yeah, but that's one mistake, right? So TikTok can also make that one mistake because everybody has to keep iterating. It could be.
Sorry, Umar, please.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that I think TikTok is going to stay in one form or the other. So the format on which TikTok is currently functioning, that is going to stay. Whether it is TikTok in its own self or whether Facebook takes over and comes up with a new platform. But this is going to stay. Like people love it.
Also, the audience size. Snapchat's audience size was so small to migrate. TikTok's audience size is even bigger, and soon it's gonna cross Facebook. Like because it's what, like almost 20 million in Pakistan now in like what 2 years, like 1.5 year. It's insane. Like, and when you go to it, it's so addictive. Like I have to stop myself from like keep scrolling. Like okay, 2 ghanta ho gaya. Like stop.
So both of you made Umair and Fawzi, you guys alluded to the fact that Umair, you mentioned something about one of the platforms can slip up, make a mistake, and so we're sort of talking about TikTok being a giant platform where obviously content size is, it's in literally in like those fun bite sizes in which we consume content. So have have you ever sort of come across an influencer that has caused any damage to one of the brands you've been working with, and how have you sort of managed that fallout for your client?
Caused any damage? No, I'm afraid I don't have an example. So we've had a lot of influences and high profile ones that have gone against that have been at loggerheads with the client, right? So literally, we've had clients say, "Yeah, why do you listen to these guys? Bhai, just get rid
No,
of them."
I don't mean in sort of the stage where you're deciding who to use. I mean actually live during a campaign period. So something that could be a potential PR fallout for disaster
I
for a
haven't
client.
I haven't had that experience, so I can't comment.
Okay, Adhika, have you come across that during your time at the agency?
Yeah, not like a very big thing, but like so I did this campaign with Yevo, which was isme kya hai, the black box. I'm
Mm.
sure like a lot of you must have seen it.
Yep,
So
Yep.
yep.
so we sent out a lot of boxes, and we kept like 10% boxes, so 20% boxes for influencers, and we sent rest of the boxes to general awam who signed up. So that was one like way that it went viral, because everybody else was getting what the influencer is getting, so they were like, wow, meri bhi channi hai, उसमें ना some influencer ended up like or like wasn't a part of the campaign but got a box and broke the lock and posted everything के अंदर क्या है उसके. And like I found out that post like रात को 1 बजे, and it went crazy because the next day we were going to like reveal the code for it, and it was like 12 a.m. or something like that, and I saw this post. I was just going over the hashtag on a tool, and I saw that there's a the pura box khula hua hai, and there's a video of कि मैंने तोड़ दिया है काला डब्बा और उसमें ये सब है and blah blah blah. And at that point I felt like the hard work that I had put into, or the Yevo's team at that time had put into the campaign, was going to fall. So I think at that time I felt like an influencer can really like mess it up, and I called that person and I was like, dude, what were you thinking? So that person was like, oh, I thought this would be like clutter breaking, and I'm just like, this was like heartbreaking, man. Clutter to bahut dur ki baat hai.
No,
So
but if that
yeah, that
person
was one point,
continues,
but I haven't felt like कि किसी ने कोई जानबूझ के like somebody would have like did something or posted something, because a lot of times all of that is like wrong hashtag or गलत brand को tag कर दिया, or like competitor brand की 4 दिन पहले campaign की थी और आपकी कर ली. So I think this is very minute, because content disposability rate on digital is literally 3 seconds now. So people keep scrolling, and so it doesn't make that huge a difference, or you can always have them archive your post or their post, or that campaign is over. So yeah.
All right. Okay, so before we go to some questions from the audience, I have one question I'm going to ask all of you, and that is, um, any advice that you would want to give the graduating class of 2020 who's thinking about picking influencer marketing as, say, a starting point in their careers? Fawzia, could we start with you?
For sure. Whether you're looking at becoming an influencer or whether you're looking at being someone who wants to be on the backside of it, I think this is an amazing, amazing field to be in. I think if you had asked me 5 years ago when I was doing it, people used to come up to me and tell me, okay, start doing something else because in a while nobody's going to give you a job. It's not going to happen. And you might want to just look at something else. And there were actually no options out there because none of the agencies or none of the brands really had an influencer marketing के लिए separate department. And now looking at the RAS only, we have an entire team only looking at influencer marketing. We are one of the first brands to have a department in-house for this, which just shows that this is going to grow. And the way the format is, the way that things are working out right now, this is going to become really, really, really huge, inshallah. I hope, fingers crossed. And so I think this is a very good field to be in. It's super interesting. It's very, very creative. And I would highly, highly, highly recommend it.
Okay. Omer, your thoughts?
yeah. So my thoughts are. So I would urge if someone wants to come into, let's say, managing influences, it's highly recommended that you become one first. So because then so even I'm not an influencer, and I've said that at the beginning of the show, but I have like my right hand Daniel, who knows a lot of things that I have no idea about. So without him, I'd be just go some of our days, right? So and the other thing that I want to highlight here is that it's uh th- the possibilities, just say Fazia, you said, right? So the aspect, especially now that we're on the cusp of a recession, the the idea that मुझे नौकरी क्या मिलेगी या मेरा job क्या होगी, so influencer or this kind of monetization of content really opens up opportunities for a lot of people. And I've spoken about this before as well, because I feel like मतलब अब मैं ये सारे 4 साल पढ़ूंगा, फिर मैं 2 साल ये करूंगा, फिर मैं ये पढ़ूंगा. You can actually, if you choose, if you have the, let's say, the guts to actually pursue something, you can pursue a very small niche and then become an authority on that subject or that area, and then you can monetize yourself. So we already see that YouTube, you can monetize, Instagram, you can monetize directly by going through brands, and hopefully we'll see Facebook coming into monetizing Pakistani content creators as well very soon, right? So in that sense, I think whatever you're passionate about, whether it's a I don't know, a shoelace, noodles, whatever it is, you can be a
Yeah.
subject matter authority on that. And that's something that I feel is missing in our overall influencer ecosystem. So every second person, and I'm sure Fauzi and Adika will agree, every second person is a lifestyle blogger or one of these 3 4 categories. They're neatly lumped into these 3 4 categories, whereby I have to force fit a brand in there. So if they were really, restricted to a particular area, then it would be easier for them to get money as well, and I'd be able to, and the brands would be happier as well because they get a more targeted audience.
Right, fair enough. Okay, guys, we have a little bit of time left on our feed. So what I'm going to do is take some questions from the audience at this point. So we have a question from Fatma Imran here, and she is asking, would like to know what tools are being used to analyze influencer profiles and measure their success. Adika, would you like to answer that?
So yeah, I would just want to like go back to the last question because I got disconnected. Just one message for the graduating class, and then I'll come back to this. Pave your way. Influencer marketing is one way, one field, one domain where you can really pave your way. When I came to Digits, I was a social media and PR manager, executive, and at that time there was very little faith in influencer marketing. But today, like 4 or 5 years later, I have my own department and my own team. So that is something where you can really excel. The things you can do within this field are immense. I have executed wacky, crazy ideas that like I don't think I would have been able to done it if I was like a brand manager or a social
Right.
media executive or an account manager or something. So coming back to tools, now that influencer marketing has grown so much, there's a lot of influencers, and again there's a lot of paid followers, paid like reach, like swala pura concept
Right.
going on. We use a lot of tools. We use three kind of tools. Tool is to track your campaign, how good your campaign is doing, what are the sentiment analysis, where all the content is coming from, where people are engaging. The second tool is the influencer health tool. We use tools like Tracker, we use tools like Hype Auditor to see that what an influencer's health is right now, because these tools are again global tools. So we could analyze profiles of social media sensations, let's say celebrities ho gaye, vloggers ho gaye, because their fan base is huge enough to analyze, right? But like and then there comes another tool which is for all of your small influencers. You put everybody in a campaign and you see like what their content is coming through, so then it becomes a campaign management tool. So yes, like these are the kind of tools that are deployed to ensure that you've picked the right people. Also, like a whole learning base for upcoming campaigns. This is something that had we didn't study this when we were studying marketing. Graduates right now might have like I've done like a lot of sessions, workshops, seminars for graduating classes this year, last year, to bring up that perspective of influencer marketing. But when we were studying, we didn't have that. So we don't have like industry benchmarks. So when you use these tools, when we use these tools, they set a benchmark for us that this person really worked for this campaign, this person didn't work for this campaign.
Right. Okay.
So that way. Yeah.
Cool. Omer, I have a question from you from Waris Beg. How effective is influencer campaign or marketing on high involvement products like banking, car trackers, automotive, etc.?
Yeah, so like I said, so this dovetails into what I spoke about earlier, Varis, that there's this lack of niche influencers, and because they're not there, then we try to force fit these sort of products. And trust me, I've been guilty of doing that a little bit as well. कि वो लाइफस्टाइल इन्फ्लुएंसर को बैंकिंग का भी अब वो अपने घर की बात कर रही है अब वो गाड़ी की बात कर रही है इट डजंट राइट नाउ Pakistani influencer ecosystem is not developed enough that you can actually do that. That being said, only in these sort of post-COVID times, I'm beginning to see like really interesting people because online publishing has taken a new life. So just yesterday, I saw really fascinating video content from Pakistan Today's Profit Wing. This gentleman who was talking about it's doing rounds on the internet. He's talking about the budget, right? But so these sort of people are coming up who can then become create a base for more niche influencer marketing for banking products or car trackers or automotive or so forth. Automotive ka phir bhi hai because you have a couple of people, but they're not as big enough as I'd want them to be.
Okay. So, on the whole topic of this, there was a video that was doing its rounds recently on WhatsApp groups, social media, etc., where you had a very popular influencer who, during her commentary in her live feed, was replying to some of the people that had logged on and had started making some derogatory comments towards her. Her retort and her replies were quite eye-opening.
I saw that today only.
Yeah, I think a lot of Pakistan saw that today. So, just generally, what would your thoughts be on something like that? And we're talking about an established personality. We're not talking about a micro influencer. We're not talking about one of those people that calls you up in the middle of a campaign and says, "Ji, mujhe aap le le."
I think the fact that she is an established influencer and the fact that she was talking about her own products only sort of gave her the liberty to do whatever she wanted. And I think there is a point in an influencer's life where they have had enough, because people feel that just because a person has decided to make their lives public or go live on a platform, that they just have like एक आपको वो मिल गया है, free pass मिल गया to say whatever you want. And I think because there was no other brand associated with it, whatever damage she is doing to herself. So I think people who are still loyal to her and will still stick around. But that's all I'm going to say about it right now.
Fair enough. Adhika, what are your views on this?
I think it was funny because I completely agree with Fawzia, and she's been subject to so much abuse just for being herself, just for coming live. And I think that's so wrong because, now there's a whole concept that celebrities turn off their comments. This is exactly why, because you think that they're public property. Yes, they're public property, but at least the me say. And I would go back to Ali Sethi. I'm sure there was a viral video of Ali Sethi as well that somebody went and abused, and Ali Sethi gave it right there, and he was like, okay, I'm not gonna, just because I'm a celebrity, I'm not gonna be taking whatever you throw at me. I think it's immoral. And yeah, and you would see that you would see BuzzFeed articles about Rihanna shutting down trolls, or you'll see Taylor Swift doing that all the time because they've had enough, I feel like.
Omer, your views?
I'm their team. I'm with her. I'm always with the influencers.
Because I've had
I just saw it today in the day at some
I've had a couple of busy days. I thought कि अब तुम ये बात करो मैं जल्दी से Google कर लेता हूँ. So I thought मैं search term क्या लिखूँ? Scandalous derogatory comments by Pakistani, वो तो 10,000 pages आ जाएंगे. I won't be able to get context, right? So I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, no, forget that. All right. So basically, what happened was there was a live session. I'm not going to take any names here. It was a live session. And like Adhika and Fawzia said, people come on and they think they have the right to sort of say whatever they want, which I feel is very unfair on the audience's part. You can't just go off at somebody who's doing a session unnecessarily and make derogatory comments. However, her retort to these people was just as strongly worded. So I wanted to get your opinion on what do you think when an influencer does this?
I don't know who you're talking about, so I don't have context, but I feel like she could easily pivot to be, a sort of a female ducky bite. No problem. Have you guys heard of ducky bite, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That could be a thing, I call people in bus stops, I call people out, they're mean to me, I'm mean to them back. That could be
No,
your
but
niche.
I think Ducky Bhai does it because that's his content format. But this was she
Yeah,
was like live,
yeah,
people abusing. I
right,
mean,
right.
if even if we're not live and having a conversation, I'll take that abuse once, twice, maybe three times. But after three times, like I think
You're
even
done.
I'll shut people down. Yeah,
Yeah. There's a lot of bullying there on social media all over,
yeah,
and influencers especially.
And it is
You need to
extremely
have really.
baseless. It's very baseless. I think that is what gets even more to these people, that I'm just putting myself out there for your sake,
yeah.
for your entertainment. And if you have nothing nice to say, then just don't follow me, or just do not.
Just
We
scroll
do not
away.
have to be
Yeah,
here. Yeah. So
I
yeah.
agree. I don't see the need for this animosity that comes out behind the screen on comments. It's unfair. It's unfair. However, but sort of my two bits on it is that you can handle it one of two ways. Well, one of three ways. You either shut it down by ignoring it, or you go off the way people tend to go off on it, or you could take it with a little bit of grace as well. But again, that's a personal choice completely. All right. We have a question from Gibran Siddiqui. Omer, how do you draw a line? Well, how do you differentiate between a celebrity and an influencer?
Okay. So
Sorry, yeah,
celebrity is what?
before we get into this, we'll just take the last couple of questions because we're sort of coming to the end of our time here. So if you could just give me like a quick snappy answer on this one.
Okay. So celebrities were what influencers was called 10 years ago. That's the small
Right.
difference. Same thing.
All right. Adita?
I think depends on what niche you cater to. I think celebrities are very mass, and influencers always have their own sort of a content format niche, sort of a template that they follow. So I think you draw a line based on who they cater to more than their following. I think following is a subjective thing. You can more, what they cater to is something that's a bigger line here.
Okay. Fozia, your point of view?
I agree, but I also think the celebrities are still influencers, and there's a reason why they are being casted in a
Right.
lot of
Yeah,
different things, right? So
yeah.
obviously you cannot completely ignore them when you are running these campaigns. However, like when you're talking about something purely that is there to influence someone, someone's decision, then it is wiser to engage micro influencers.
Fair point. On your point about celebrities also being influencers, do you have a top celebrity influencer that you follow or that you sort of that you like, to put
I
it
think
bluntly?
there are a lot of influencers, celebrities that I follow and like. If I'm talking about international celebrities, I am borderline obsessed with Chrissy Teigen because I think she is brilliant. Like everything about her,
Same.
it's yeah, like she is just amazing, right? Because again, like I think the reason why she feels like you feel that way about someone like her is because she again makes her content relatable and more human, and which is something that celebrities in Pakistan are sort of missing out on, because this is, if anything, an opportunity for them.
Adika, what about you? Do you have a favorite celebrity influencer, local, international, whatever it may be?
Chrissy for sure, because I'm like, yeah, borderline obsessed with her, because like she's so funny. She's just so funny in her daily life that like, I think no comedian can do that. Other than that, like I do follow Ali Sethi religiously. Like, Ali Sethi's live, and if I'm not there, that's like something that does not happen. So yeah, two celebrities that I do. Apart from these two, mostly it's just work. So no mentioning of that. Of that.
Well, what about you? Someone that you particularly like?
So like I said, so it's I consider myself an entrepreneur first and an advertiser second. So
Right.
I look up to, so person that I find more interesting and is Elon Musk, because he's hilarious. He's at the top of his game. I follow, that's the only Twitter account I follow actually.
All right, how do you pronounce his son's name, though?
But then guess something battle angel something. I have no idea. But that's the thing. Now he's just so unpredictable.
He also tanked his stock. But yeah, he is unpredictable. I mean, single tweet, huh?
So
Single
is
tweet.
the tweet of God. That's one celebrity. Like that's my favorite Twitter account. And Jinnah tweets as well. That's should be a celebrity account.
So, if you don't mind, guys, let me just pose one question to you. Organic versus, let's say, explicit sponsored ad hashtag in partnership. What are your thoughts on this? Like, just quickly.
I think it needs to be declared if it is a partnership, but the content still needs to be organic. Like you can do a
Organic,
mix
yes.
of both. It doesn't necessarily need to be a scripted post. Oh, you were buying this phone, it has this many megapixel, and this is the GB and XYZ. It needs to be more like why you are using that phone, and you're talking from
Yeah.
experience.
So, do
Yeah.
you think this video is sponsored by Coca-Cola? I should have declared that.
You should have declared that.
Okay.
You should
But
have
you should
Okay, I
declared
can
also
that.
say
declare.
you should have also said that
Good
you
on subtle
enjoy.
branding.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nicely done.
use it as part of my
Yeah.
pitch. All
Nicely
right.
done. Yeah.
All right, cool.
So while Umair is taking over the moderation for this panel from now, Umair, let's.
Sorry about that.
No, I'm happy to answer a question as well if you want.
That's right.
Um, Anmol Advani is asking, I really want to know what is the approach our marketers are taking for TikTok? How is influencer marketing going to tackle love-hate relationships for TikTok? Have either of you delved into TikTok for campaigns locally?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
It's too much there. So Adhika, could you give your answer on this one?
Yeah. So right now, TikTok is a huge awareness-based platform. So how we are seeing it is that it's great viral content sort of a platform because the influencers there are not like our like Instagram influencers who really care about how I look or the way I'm talking. The content that they're producing is something that we have never seen before, like on Instagram even. So we are taking it as a huge awareness based platform as of now. But with the TikTok challenge, it does bring and open up an entire opportunity for the ROI based or conversion based model for the for any brand. TikTok challenge is of course a very expensive sort of tool or like a proposition from the platform right now. But I feel like abhi this is a great platform for awareness, for brand integration, for great product integration, for also great music. These people have created the kind of mashups, the way they've picked up parts from the songs. I don't think the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter influencers or even YouTubers would be able to do it like that way.
So they've sort of given birth to a completely new generation of content creators.
New
yeah.
So
generation and like new content format as well. So the Don't Rush came from TikTok. Abhi like so many other challenges are coming from TikTok. Like what we had seen was like I mean Ice Bucket. We had seen a lot of the backpack
yeah,
challenge, the kind of these things we did, right? But this is
right.
Don't Rush was like a transformational thing. Like during the COVID, I think all brands did it, all like influencers did it. Makeup ho, khana ho, anything like yeah. So that's the kind of transformational content that they're bringing in.
Okay.
I think talking about the whole love-hate relationship with TikTok, when you're talking about influencer marketing or any marketing in general, I think your presence on any platform is extremely important. So you cannot just sort of kill one platform based on the fact that, oh, there are some people who might not like my brand on this platform, right? So it is
Absolutely.
very important to integrate everything that's out there. So TikTok is huge, like Adika said, that for distribution, for awareness campaigns, it is a huge platform at this point.
All right. We've got a question here from Gibran again asking how important is it being brand loyal for an influencer? Are they screened the way TV celebs, for instance, are screened? Omer?
Yeah, so I feel that I feel like the best sort of engagement that you can have in influencer marketing is in longer term model. And for that longer term model, you actually need to believe in the brand. It shouldn't be forced upon you. You should not be doing it just because they're paying you money. You should actually endorse the product, or be a fan at least. So if it's naturally your ideal choice, then you wouldn't want to dish out that choice just because someone else is paying you more money. So I feel like there's a huge premium on loyalty. Unfortunately, as it stands right now, the our influencer marketing projects are more projects, so they're shorter
Right,
term. They would be
right.
longer term.
Oh, Umair froze. Okay, so Adhika, while Umair comes back, his point is excellent and actually gave me rise to my next. Sorry, Umair, are you with us again?
No, I'm fine. Go ahead.
All right, cool. So yeah, the point you just made, Umair, about how these are short-term projects and they're just sort of short engagements. Um, how do we see this translating over the years in terms of more longer term engagements? For instance, Omer, I completely buy into your idea of if you're an influencer, if you believe in the brand, take up the project, don't just do it for the money because then it just becomes another commercial project. You see a lot of celebrity endorsements in terms of actors, musicians, etc., with brands like Pepsi, Rolex. You see a lot of sports endorsements that are carried out over years and years and years. And in the old school way of sort of doing influencer marketing, that carried a lot of credibility. So, Adhika, how do you sort of see that translating or transforming in the years to come as far as influencer marketing goes? Do you think it will remain sort of shorter project based? Will it become a little more long term, or are we already
I
there?
think it will become a long term thing, but it also will continue to be short term. So see, when a brand takes a celebrity on board, it's long term because celebrity taking a celebrity on board, creating a television commercial, creating print ads, creating all kind of other convention channels is very expensive. So that comes with a longer period as well. If I'm paying X amount to a celebrity, I need their loyalty for the X amount. When influencer marketing comes in, yes, we still do long term projects as well. When you take a blogger on board for a travel project or for a review project, you do engage them for a long term period. Right now it goes up to 6 months as well. So even if you take a celebrity or a model for any campaign, you do engage them for 3 months to 4 months because that builds that kind of advocacy. I feel like it will go to be a long term, sustainable model, because as the influencer marketing grows, people will start finding their content niche. And once they find that,
Right.
once they start building themselves in that, then they can do a long term thing as well. I would say if you've seen Karachi Chefs at Home, it's a huge platform that gave women in Pakistan to come out and be chefs online, what they were doing at home, our moms, our cousins, our friends, all of that. So they have ongoing association with brands that go longer. So like Pura Ramzan, it's done, it's recurring, happens every year. So those things will continue alongside the short term projects, because some of, like I said before, launches, or like a small CSR campaign, you can't do that long term, because then the ROI or the longevity of that entire thing just like ends right there. So yeah, that's what I think.
Fazia, your views on sort of long term, short term, project based? How do you
I
see
think
it? How have you
it is
seen it evolve?
definitely, of course. I think over time the brands have started. Like if I'm speaking about the Raz alone, we have
Right.
started engaging influencers on a very very long term basis now, because
Okay.
we want, number one, to establish that sort of loyalty where people understand that the Raz is the first choice of people when they are going to shop online, and that can only be done over time, because
So can you
there's so many different.
sorry, can you give an example of who you've engaged long term, for instance?
Okay, so I'll just give you, let's say, I'll speak to you about Muzammil Hassan, let's say. Muzammil Hassan is one of my top influencers. He's someone who I've been working with over and over again. Now, he was even a part of our on site influencer activity where we started an influencer program on our app. And other than that, we keep on engaging him for different campaign of ours, not because, oh, he's a good influencer, but because number one, he is a Daraz user. So he genuinely believes in the brand. And secondly, it just becomes much easier for you to communicate your mission or communicate your objective to someone who understands how the brand works. So, like
Right.
for instance, when we have a campaign like Gyara Gyara, where we are engaging over 1,000 influencers, that is one thing. And obviously, you cannot keep up with those 1,000 influencers over the year. But Daraz is a very, very happening brand. So every month, there are at least 2 to 3 campaigns which are going on. So it is
Sure.
only easy for us to, number one, connect with these influencers on a more human level if we are in a long term partnership with them. And now we have influencers who've been working with for 2, 3 years, and we have great relationships with them.
Yeah.
Okay. Adhika, we have a question from Manur Khwaja here asking, what's up with the algorithm constantly changing on these platforms? How do businesses adapt to these?
I think that algorithm would really matter when you are running paid ads. But as for Instagram doing organic or Facebook doing organic content, we all know that for business platforms, you do have to spend some kind of money. For bloggers, I feel like if your content is great and you keep like experimenting with formats, like I think stories gain a lot more engagement and reach and a conversion than a post does, and a feed, and then again IGTV does better than a feed video. So if you keep experimenting how your audience is reacting, I think bloggers or even businesses should keep up with the fact that how their audience is consuming the content. A lot of times we make the content that we like, and it's different from what the consumers will like. So I think if there's a balance between that, then the platform algorithm would not affect you too much, because that's an algorithm. It will keep changing. You can't control that fact, right? As an advertiser, as a media planner, buyer, as a business, as an influencer, you can't control that, but you can always control your own content.
Okay. Okay, let's see. We're going to take a couple of last questions. Um, right. Anmol Advani. Omer, I'm going to ask you this. Influencers are more of how they look and what they wear. Everyone can't have that lifestyle. Do you think bloggers have some sort of responsibility towards the lower SEC that's following?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So Anmol, I agree with you. So and we see this over and over again, whereby this is a overall, let's say, a problem with social media, that we tend to, it's always the highlight reel, right? So it's always our greatest triumphs, our cutest clothes, our best postures, our, all those things. So yeah, I feel like there should be people that are more approachable. If you are influencer or no influencers, you should encourage them to have a more realistic sort of outlook. It's okay. um, you don't have to, everything isn't perfect, that's fine. We don't necessarily need to portray that image. So lower SEC should be, not just lower SEC, it's just even from an overall point of view, वो ग्लॉस को थोड़ा कम कर दें. It's okay यार. And this can only work, Khalid, if we once again go into niches, right? So if we stick to the
Right.
broad categories, then I have nothing to impress my followers except the fact that, oh, now I'm in London, now I'm in Bali, or I'm doing this. But if I
Right.
have, if I'm passionate about something, then I don't need, हाँ ठीक है यार, मेरे पीछे से दीवार खराब है, मगर मेरे कंप्यूटर के देखो कितना, I'm a nuthead. I spend all money on this. I don't even have money to paint my wall. That's who I am. So that sort of thing should come across.
I think over here, TikTok is what steps in, because when you go on TikTok, you see all sorts of influencers and not
That's
just
true.
people who are looking fancy at all times. And I think
All
now this trend is slowly. Sorry, Erika. I think this trend is very slowly changing now, because people have started become more transparent about where they come from and how their actual lives are, versus just posing to be these perfect people with perfect
Yeah.
clothes and perfect vacations.
Yeah.
I think this
right.
will be a transition, and it will happen, but it will take a little bit of time.
Also, influencers around the world, not just Pakistan, have come out and very openly talked about the fact that our Instagram feed is not our lives. Our Instagram feed is not who we represent. Several influencers have come out to declare their mental health issues. A lot of them have come and openly talked about the bullying that they face, the face, or how they came about, creating this content, the kind of effort it went into collecting or buying a camera. Irfan Junejo also did an entire blog on how he started, vlogging, what brought him there. Muru did an entire thing. Faiza talked about all her struggles being one of the first female, actually the first female comedian in Pakistan, and one of the first to get into that entire space. So I feel like they do have a responsibility, and many of them are taking care of that responsibility very wisely as well. So, I mean, yes, it will catch on to influencers who've now gained a lot of followers, but several of them have already done that.
Okay. Guys, I'm going to go to one last question, and this is from Fatma Imran. So we'll go around the panel with this one. She asks about three things that you hate about the current influencer marketing industry in Pakistan based on your experience. But I'd just like to rephrase this a little bit and sort of say, if you guys could each very briefly give me the one biggest challenge that you face as far as being somebody who's into the business of influencer marketing is that you guys face in your careers. Umair, if you'd like to go first, please.
So I am constantly struggling on defending people that have a passion for art. So it's always, oh yeah, great, they do great content, but their numbers are so bad. So I wish that could somehow be resolved. I could somehow
Numbers as
vouch
in
for
numbers.
those. Then so especially for artsy fartsy creatives on Instagram, so they have really good art and they can do so much cool stuff,
Right.
but they don't have the following of, let's say, a celebrity sort of pretty person sort of travel agent.
Yeah,
They
okay.
don't have
Got
the
it.
sort of follower count. So I wish I could solve that one problem.
Yeah, Umair, I've been fighting that battle with the brands that I've been working with for the last 20 years. It's not happening anytime soon. Something's got to give somewhere for this to make way. I mean, brands need to wake the, pardon my French, people wake the F up. It's tough. Fozia, what about you? What's the one downside to sort of influencer marketing that you feel is particularly challenging for you?
I think if I'm talking about it from a brand's perspective, I think the sense of entitlement that a lot of influencers now have, where they feel that they deserve some sort of money, and they're like, "Oh, मैं तो करती इतना charge हूँ, या मैं तो करता इतना charge हूँ, and I'm not going to negotiate, or I'm not going to understand what your brand, aesthetic is, and I'm just going to go about it the way I want to." They want to
Right.
work with you, but they also want to work completely on their terms, which makes it very, very difficult for us. And also the fact that if you are asking for a certain amount of money, or then what is the measurable output you're going to be giving us against that? Because at Daraz, when we ask people for reports or when we ask them for stats, they're like, हमसे और कोई तो नहीं मांगता, आप लोग क्यों मांग रहे हैं, तो हम तो नहीं देंगे. So we also need to understand the amount of money that we are investing within this field, what's the return that we're getting against it. And this is a huge challenge that we face over here.
And if an influencer wants to come in and dictate their own terms, they should have at least made it to that level first, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I feel like brands now, like if speaking on behalf of Daraz again only, like we give our influencers a lot of creative freedom. So we do not restrict them. We tell them that, okay, this is the bigger message, but you are free to do whatever you want. However, there are certain things, there are certain rules that you have to follow, and those will not be compromised on. And just to reason with them about this becomes so challenging sometimes that it's just very difficult.
Sure. Adhika, what's been the hardest part of this game for you?
I agree with both Fozia and Umair, but like I feel like my biggest challenge in like last many years has been making brands understand that an influencer video is not a TVC. It's a vlog is not an ad.
Yeah.
An Instagram feed post is not your content post. A story is not your brand's dancing space. It's lifestyle integration, right? So treat it like this. I mean, if you want an influencer to hold your brand, hold your product, also have that product's logo on their shirt, and also the top right corner of their screen. Also their placemats should also be of the same color. उनके घर की दीवार भी उस कलर की होनी चाहिए, हो सके तो उनसे कहीं उसी रंग के पौधे भी ले आए. No, that's been my biggest challenge.
तो
It's
आप client
it's an everyday struggle. Huh?
Yeah, I can imagine that. तो वही ना, आप क्लाइंट को बोलते हैं आप जाके ऐड बना दें खुद ही अपना.
Yeah, so I've done that. I've done that in past. I've done that recently as well, where I like literally told them to just take this entire campaign, use that budget, and create an ad because that can do better for them. And influencer content is not something that will, a completely branded. And yeah, and I think that's something that like I would. That's something that all of us, I think, as an influencer marketing specialist, as head of influencer marketing departments, I think we all struggle with this. And that's something that I feel like is most challenging. Bloggers and all of that, their tantrums and their attitudes all could be dealt with because they're like short term.
They
This is
just fit
something
through.
that hasn't changed.
Yeah, like I said, it's going to take something monumental for this change to happen. And
Yes.
I was actually reading an article by Profit, I think it was yesterday or today, about the state of the advertising industry in Pakistan post COVID. And it was very interesting because what I feel is that this might end up pushing a lot more brands in the direction of actually doing digital the way it's meant to be done. There are very few
Yeah.
brands that I feel do it right. So I'm trying to get the brand that I'm currently working for to look in that direction, and thankfully they are. So hopefully I don't run into the kind of issues you guys do, where we,
Yeah. I think
pay.
Daniel Wellington did a campaign where they used a horse as an influencer and a model's hand to just show that watch. Like the horse was paid for that. So I think that's how vast and how amazing and mind blowing influencer content can be. And if you could see, like, I don't know how many of you have seen the show Queer Eye. One of the participant is the dog who passed away last season, Broly, and like he's
Oh, no,
actually like he
spoiler
lives.
alert, Radhika. You've got
Oh,
to, you've got
it
to
was
show
last season, not this season. It was last season.
nonetheless.
Sorry.
All good.
But yeah, he like, yeah, so I mean he was an influencer in that show. Like I like my forever love for pugs and all of that, but still, like, that's how grand the entire platform is.
That's true. That's true. Guys, we have one last question coming in, and this is anonymous. And the question states, which publications do you guys read to pick up on ad industry intelligence within Pakistan? Omer, can we start with you?
Ad industry. So I contribute
Or
to
say,
and I
sorry,
read.
sorry, not ad industry, say the marketing industry. Let me make it a slightly broader.
Yeah, so my Aurora seems to be something that they do a good job. I contribute there regularly as well. And then these
Okay.
guys, Pakistan Today's Profit, they seem to have they overall in the business fair they do very good journalism. So
Profit has some hard hitting stuff out there. I remember they did an article on one of the brands I used to be associated with in the retail space a while ago.
yeah.
And yeah, the information that they put in there is interestingly accurate. Let me just put it that way.
And I'm not just saying that because I was quoted in an article last week. I actually over time I've realized that these guys are they treat it in a much more interesting way. So
Yes,
they're doing the business reporting what Tribune did with overall journalism when they came in, right? So everything is a lot more visual. It's a lot more in depth. It feels a lot better.
Bilkul. Fawzia, how about you? Where do you turn to get your local marketing news?
I think apart from Aurora, I think I'm also more of a Facebook group person. I really follow like a lot of these groups that are out there, like Khalid Alvi, and these places, because they really keep you up to date. And apart from that, I think that now there are so many WhatsApp groups as well, where there are all of these
Yeah.
very interesting, yeah, there are a lot of discussions happening, which sometimes really gets to you because of the number of notifications you get. But at the same time, if you really get the time and scroll through, you learn a lot of very interesting stuff.
You do, but you've got to sift through so much fluff to get to it, especially
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
groups like Khalid Alvi, for instance. Adhika,
Yeah.
what's your opinion on KAMN?
I think it's a great group, but I also do think that it goes in so many directions that it just loses its entire essence. And I've like known the admins. I've had multiple conversations with them during a Facebook training session that I did. Uh, but yeah, I feel like this that group has so much potential, but then I also feel like there's so much bullying on that group. And I think if that was controlled, I mean, a typo is not end of the world. And posting a question
Yeah.
that just downright degrades a great idea. Okay, it didn't make sense to you. ठीक है, आप अपना opinion दें. Don't like bash
Trolling
somebody. Yeah, that.
people need to be a lot more patient where online the online world is concerned.
And
Really.
if you read what the admins are posting, they are all sensible people, and they all do post like comments that make sense, and they do give shut up calls. But I feel like it that Khalid Alvi needs a cleanse. Like that group has too many people who are not from marketing, who are not from anywhere, and they just troll accounts. So I feel like that cleanse needs to be there.
I couldn't agree more. All right, guys, thank you very much for being part of this tonight. I would, before we log off, I would like to thank Omer and his founders Sohena and Uruj for putting this community together. I think they've done a wonderful job. I understand that this community came together around when a lot of changes were coming around into society because of COVID, and they put it together to put job seekers and recruiters in touch. So, Omer, Sohena, Uruj, if you guys are listening out there, fantastic job. I really believe in this cause because there are a lot of our friends and family out there that are not fortunate enough to be where we are right now. And anything that we can do on any little bit to help them is fantastic. There's been a ticker running on this to join the WhatsApp group. So for anybody listening, please do that. I think it'll be fantastic for the community at large. And you can also follow Karachi Creatives on LinkedIn. With that, I'd like to say thank you and good night to our panelists, Fawzia, Adika, Umair. It was fantastic. I think we had a great dialogue here. We got some great insights from all sides of the table: client, brand, agency. So thank you guys very, very much for this.
Thank you, Khalid.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Everyone. Bye.
Good
Bye.
night. Goodbye.
Good night.